Kelly?
All right, keeping our eyes on politics right now, where the buzz around Washington these days is that the president has got his mojo back, thanks in no small part to his win after a hard-fought health care battle. But outside the Beltway, well, another story. Americans appear to be souring on the president. The latest Gallup poll finding Mr. Obama's approval rating hovering below 50%, far lower than his highs of around 70% last year. So where does the president really stand? Joining us now, Erica Payne. She's a former Deputy Finance Director for the Democratic National Committee. And Tony Say, Republican consultant. Tony and Erica, thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Hi. Hello, Kelly.
Good to have you. Erica, let's begin with you, since we're talking about a Democratic president who wants to be president of all Americans. Is he doing that? Washington says he's got his mojo back, but the rest of the country, well, apparently they're not getting the message according to these recent polls.
Well, the sort of endless fascination with polls is not something I think that Obama has decided to be that concerned with himself. It's hard to govern when you're watching your poll numbers every day. But I think a couple of points that are really interesting to think about. When he came into office, about 1 out of 5 Americans thought that the country was on the right track. So 20%, it's not a very high number. And right now, 1 out of 3 Americans think we're on the right track. So we're still in a really difficult place, there's no doubt about it. But you do see incremental improvement. And you were going to see a decrease from when he came in, because it just couldn't get much worse than it was. And he came in with such a high approval rating. So you're just seeing it narrow, and you're seeing that the problems are going to last longer than people wanted. But I think it's a really natural evolution in a political cycle, and nothing anybody should be all that worried about.
Tony, Erica makes a very valid point right there. But I want to go to what Governor Ed Rendell, who is a Democrat governor of the bellwether state of Pennsylvania, what he had to say about all of this. He basically says that this whole demise in the polls is basically because of that long, hard-fought over health care reform. And he says Democrats should just get busy with it and keep selling it as a good plan for America. But Republicans, he says, have won the spin battle. What do you say about that?
Well, first of all, let's address the whole topic here, which is the fact that the president is popular within the Beltway but not outside. That's a terribly bad narrative for the president, frankly, because he came in as this penultimate outsider, and now he's only getting his traction within the Beltway. That's terribly bad. Let's look at Pennsylvania. The president's approval there, a very liberal state, a presidential candidate has not won it on the Republican side since George H.W. Bush in 1988. His approval is 42%. Why is that key? A major Senate contest is going on there. You have C-Stack and Senator Specter in a Democratic primary facing a very strong conservative Republican like Mr. Toomey, former Congressman Toomey. So these are the type of things that are going to become very fascinating state by state to watch what the president's numbers actually are. As to the health care debate, let the Democrats keep talking about it, because the less they talk about jobs, the more they're alienating themselves with the heartland. That is precisely why the president's numbers are going down, because he is not focusing on what the people want him to focus on, and that's jobs and the economy.
So, Kelly, can I jump in?
Absolutely.
So, first of all, Pennsylvania is by no stretch of the imagination a liberal state. It's routinely a swing state. It's one of the places that we look to see how the country's going as a whole. And so to call it a liberal state is completely preposterous. That's number one.
It's as blue as they come, Erica. Apparently you're not watching the electoral map over the last 2 decades, but go ahead.
But guys, it's also
you and I both know that a lot of money is spent in Pennsylvania when people are running for president. And so it is a place where the debate is hashed out. So I disagree with your original
premise.
Erica,
while you're there, though, how does Erica and Tony, how does the president fix this narrative that's coming out of Washington to make it palatable to the rest of America?
2 words.
Okay.
Very easy solution. Financial regulation. If this president does to Wall Street what he has promised to do to Wall Street, to make them pay for the fact that they decimated the American economy, he will be just fine in the midterm election, and he will sail through a re-election. And what the Republicans are doing right now in trying to block important legislation on the Hill and trying to weaken it on behalf of the banks is a recipe for disaster. So they might be as good as it gets on health care and have won that debate. There is no possibility they are going to win the Wall Street reform debate.
Tony?
I think Erica is wrong. I think the operative term is jobs and refocusing on jobs. The job numbers that came out of March, a third of that growth was from short-term jobs from the census. These are public sector jobs, not private sector job growth, which is really what's going to help the economy recover. But going back to
So if I'm somebody who's out of a job, though, just to be clear, I don't really care where my paycheck's coming, and I would rather have a short-term stimulus job, which does stimulate the economy.
It's not stimulating,
than worry
though.
about,
Erica, it's not stimulating the economy.
Of course it is. It's
and
like
you
you're
can see,
jump-starting
and you can see from the president's numbers. You even yourself said if the right track numbers are getting better, although they're still bad for the president, which is actually, Erica hits on a very good point. Right track, wrong track. Those are the numbers. Rasmussen is showing double digits still and feeling the country is on the wrong track.
Okay, so
that's going to hurt the president ultimately.
Tony and Erica, you know, this could go on. This is a great debate. I'm enjoying hearing it, but we got to move on to some other things that are going on. But I want to thank you both anyway, especially for the lively debate on a Saturday afternoon. Much appreciative to both of you for that. Erica and Tony, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.